We got the countdown. What's up, everybody? It's Dustin Coiner. We're live again with the Talkin Motorbikes show. And this time I'm on with the Harley dude, as evidenced by the gigantic beard. Okay? His name's Lucas Geboo? Geboo?
Geboo.
Tebow?
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever works.
What's up, man?
Not too much, man. How's it going?
It's going good, man. I just, I love talking to club racers, and you happen to be a club racer. And what's great about us all is that we all have different shapes and sizes, and do different jobs, and live everywhere. But somehow we all manage to find this motorbike thing and get addicted to it like crack, and end up spending all our time and money doing it. So what's
I,
up,
I
man?
think I think crack would have been a little bit cheaper.
Truthfully, yeah, heroin maybe,
Yeah, definitely would have been a little bit easier on the wallet, that's for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, just doing the thing, working, trying to race as much as possible.
yeah. So, I met you, was like 4 or 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, 5 years ago. Yeah, it's beginning of 2018.
Yeah. And I refer to you. I was talking to Frankie Garcia earlier, which is hilarious. I love that kid.
All right, fucking
I say
Frankie.
kid, but he's like 30 now. I've known him since he was like 14, right?
He still
Uh,
has like the mentality and playfulness as a kid, though. That's for sure.
oh, absolutely. Nobody's having more fun than Frankie.
No,
Period.
I love hanging out with Frankie. It's always a good time.
Except me. Like usually when we're on the track, it's like a fight of who's having more fun. Um, but you're one of the OG guys. So it was like you and Tony Shreds and Eric Stolz, right?
Hmm.
And just before you guys started coming out, Zach Nation, like
Yeah.
we kind of scumbagged Zach into riding on the track, and he did quite a bit with us, and had an R6 for a while. But you guys
Hmm.
kind of stuck around, and you guys were there when I was in the infant stage of beginning the CRA, right? Like I remember looking at you in the eye and going, "Hey, man, wouldn't it be cool if you, instead of being like a bastard stepchild, if there was like your own class for racing those stupid things?" And you guys, all of you guys, were like, "Yeah." And
Well, at that
Tony
point,
actually helped me write the rules for the original
yes.
American Iron class at CRA.
What's funny you say that because we actually have helped write all the rules for all the leagues so far, as like the Harley side of things.
Because we don't know
Um,
it. Nobody knows anything about Harleys but Harley people.
no, I mean even nowadays, even at all the tracks we race at and some that we're regulars at nowadays, it's still, yeah, I see
By the
some
way,
safety
this is root
wire.
beer. It's not alcoholic. It's just, yeah.
Keep it PG. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's still the same thing. Oh, you got safety wire? Cool. Fuck off. Get out of my inspection area.
right.
Most people don't want to climb under them and know what's what. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's,
yeah, back then we were the like you said the bastard children,
uh-huh.
and we had no class. It was, hey, we're gonna stick you in with like the SVs and the twins. Let's go out the
Well,
650 guys.
didn't they start out putting you guys like with the R3s?
Yeah, so actually, funny enough, so last season they gave us our own classes. We had two classes of our own. We had our own shootout. It was cool. And as a lot of racing happens with the new stuff, it started out real big, and then it
Yeah.
got real small. So it came back to like just the core guys again. So they got rid of that. So they stuck us back with the twins. So this whole last season we're back with the twins, and then the other class they put us back in with some of like the 350s, 400s.
Okay. So like you guys have a race, but it's like a race with it's like another
Yeah,
start.
it's another wave start,
Yeah.
but we got our own class. So
Okay. Well, it's better than exhibition shit that you had when it first started, right?
I mean, when we were first started out, and it was just the three of us. It was, all right, we're gonna battle to see who doesn't come in last. And that's kind of where it was with us as far
Yeah.
as just the three of us. So
Yeah, so
don't get lapped and don't come in last.
I actually remember a little bit before you guys started racing.
Yeah.
I can't I think it was Tony that called me. I think it was
Hmm.
Tony. I don't think it was
It was
Eric.
Tony. Tony was the guy that was, he posted up on Instagram. It was like, hey, I'm gonna go ride my Harley on the track. Who the fuck wants to go with me?
Right.
And that's what it was. He was calling all the tracks and track day companies saying, "Hey, I got I want to come race, or ride on the track, but and I have a Harley."
Yeah.
And you know, and we've
I don't
talked
know.
about it a
I can't
lot.
remember which one finally said yes. I am not
You, it
sure.
was actually you. It was so the mainstays as far as us getting to where we are now,
Yeah.
as far as not just us as riders, but as far as the Harley racing thing goes, was you and then Brady Walker with Classic Track Days.
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys are the first ones to say, you know what, fuck yeah, let's do it. Let's see what we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And, and then here we are. So
Well, I remember Tony asking me, and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Why don't you guys just sign up?" And he's like,
yeah.
"Wait a minute. You mean we could come ride?" I'm like, "Yeah. Like, I don't. What's the problem?" He's like, "Well, this org and this org and this org and this." Like, he fucking listed out like everybody,
All
right?
of them. All of
And
them,
I'm
yeah.
like, "That's dumb." I was like, "Dude, I had a guy here with the fucking Virago out there riding. Like, why wouldn't I let you guys ride? It's the same shit,
Hmm.
except the Virago's a Japanese bike that's from the 80s."
Yeah.
And he was like, "You had a Virago?" I'm like, "Bro, we've had everything out from like the adventure bike. Like, we had a guy
Hmm.
out on a Super Tenere. You know what that is, right?
No, I don't, but
It's
it
an
sounds
adventure bike, dude. And he had like,
okay.
and this guy that was out there, he was this dude that was like, it was a Yamaha day that we were putting on. It was like we
Hmm.
called it Get to Know Your Bike. And it was a day where you could be like brand new, like never even thought of riding on the racetrack before. So we had like a D group, which is like lower than the C, right? Like you
Yeah.
could wear jeans and a bomber jacket kind of thing, like
Your basic street riding
yeah,
gear type
yeah.
deal.
So we had some dude that was in the middle of this ride to the Four Corners, right? It was like this adventure bike thing, and then he had like the hard bags on it and everything. And it's like an off-road bike, It's like a
And those
SUV.
bags are not light or anything on those bikes.
No, dude. Well, he probably had shit in them too, right? Like he was, And that guy, dude, he gets off track, and he is an older guy, and he is grinning ear to ear, just like you guys were.
Hmm.
And just like I knew you would be. But it didn't even make sense to me to tell you guys no, and I was shocked that anybody did. But it's made for a good story years later.
Oh yeah, we still talk about it when we get together, and after riding, we'll have a fire and a beer or two, and it's like, oh, remember this, and remember
Yeah,
where we were then, and
yeah,
here we are riding at Laguna Seca. It's like, oh, this is awesome.
yeah.
So,
So you've done quite a bit of club racing, right? I mean, you did the CVMA thing quite a bit, right?
mhm,
And
yeah.
then I don't think you actually made it out to race the club I started,
No,
Dick.
unfortunately, we have. Yeah, I know, I know. I mean, you were like, hey, we're gonna start your own
I'm
class.
doing this whole thing for you, asshole, and then you never showed up. And Tony never. Oh no,
Hmm.
Tony did. Tony did come race with us.
Yeah.
So Tony came and raced, but you didn't. So
So there's a lot of stuff. Not to make excuses, but as soon as you did that, like life kind of shambled. Fell into shambles for me there for a bit.
oh really?
So yeah, it was kind of like
Country
as
song?
far as dude, yeah. Wife, kids gone, like it all fell apart.
Oh
Everything
wow.
just turned to yeah, it was, and it was like right at the height of like, oh, CVMA is giving us a class. You're going to give us your own classes. The Bagger Racing League's coming out. Oh, okay. And now we're going to throw like the super hooligans into the mix, and we're going to start traveling all over the damn country
And then King of the
racing.
Baggers came out.
And now the King of the Baggers is like the bee's knees for all of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, fuck. So it's trying to get where we can, and like financially was okay. Where can we do and what can we not do? And it was kind of there was a lot of races we didn't make. It's not
Yeah.
just you. You weren't just the only one that was like,
I'm just giving you
yeah.
shit.
Oh, I know.
I,
Well,
I
it
don't
sucks. I
even
mean,
I don't even own the thing anymore. Like I sold my stake in it months ago. So
oh, no shit.
yeah, dude, I'm no longer part of government. It's great.
Now it's just back just to racing
Yeah, I'm just back to being the track day guy, like club racer dipshit. No more government for me. For now.
for
Who
now.
knows? Maybe I'll come up with some other project again and start something else epic.
Yeah, 'cause I know last time we talked about it was last year. You were talking about some big things happening with it.
Well, we did Laguna last year. We brought club
Hmm.
racing back to Laguna last year for the first time in like 40 years.
Yeah.
That was pretty, I'd say that's pretty big.
I think
right?
that would be actually awesome to do. I mean, hopefully it sticks with Laguna and it starts happening more with a lot of the tracks as far as the club racing goes. Like we
Yeah.
just went and raced, at Pittsburgh at Pit Race. It's obviously a very nice facility, very awesome
Was
track.
that BRL or?
Yeah, that was with BRL and then also as well with and Azra.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they kind of conjoined together as far as the BRL and Azra and all that stuff. So I mean, it's opening up opportunities for us to go travel some more.
So let me ask you this: does the BRL still have that guy from the dirt track races that does the crazy flag show?
No, so unfortunately, a lot of changes have made with the BRL from what it was when it first the first 2 seasons, where it was like the grassroots. We're here to have a fucking good time. We're going to race Harleys and we're going to party, and that's what it was. It was nothing but Harleys and Harley guys, and we were out there racing these loud, noisy tractors and having a good time. And that's where the flag man and having Lucky Foster and all those guys out there really helped embody that whole like this is like back to like the root style of
Oof.
racing.
Yeah,
And now it's all ASRA and it's all AMA sanctioned and certified and all this other
it's all
stuff. So now
pro.
it's yeah, all the guys are all walking around with fancy headsets and matching uniforms and stuff. So I mean it's cool, but at the same time it's like it's not back to like the grassroots like it was, and it's kind of changed the feel of the BRL, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so okay, so you're pretty kind of like a CVMA regular, right?
Yeah.
Because you're local, and then
Yeah, it's only, if I just had the bike in the truck, it's only like an hour and a half, 2 hours for me.
okay, okay, but I mean, dude, you've done the hooligans too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we've done a couple
So
there. We've done,
I think if
we,
I'm not mistaken, weren't you at Laguna last year at the Super
yeah, so we
Hooligans?
raced Laguna last year with Super Hooligans, and then we did Daytona first Super Hooligans when it was still Super Hooligans before it was Moto America,
Right.
Super Hooligans
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, when it was like a sideshow, like in a parking lot at an industrial park or something, like
It-
3 blocks
yeah,
away.
so we did it with Moto America, and they just squeezed us in.
Yeah.
But we had to have DRT racing with Alex Mock and Lucky come in and do the timing and scoring for us. It was
Okay.
still ran all strictly just by Roland Sands, so it wasn't a Moto America thing yet. It
Yeah.
was his pilot
Yeah.
and see if it'll even fucking work. And then obviously it is where it is now, where it has just as many rounds as King
Oh,
of the
dude.
Baggers does.
You know what? I mean, it's pretty epic racing, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
it's it initially like you were kind of it was like a sideshow kind of initially when
Hmm.
it came to Moto America, but now it's like fuck, man. Like between the baggers and the hooligans, there's like way more participants there than there are on the other side, which
Oh, I
is
mean,
weird.
so they're getting ready. Super Hooligans is getting ready to race at the Ridge and then Laguna again.
Yeah,
And I think the Ridge is like what, three like
it's
that.
next weekend, I think.
Oh, is it
Right?
next weekend? So
I
I
think
know
it's next weekend.
the entry list for the Super Hooligan class right now, from what they released for the Ridge and for Laguna, they're in the like mid 30s
That's awesome, man.
for a grid, which is yeah, it's fuck yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so, like, in the Super Hooligans, is it like a minimum qualifying time to make the grid? So
So they
you
are
could potentially have 50 people there, but only 30 make the grid, or how does it work?
yeah. So it's weird how they do it. So they're doing the 110% rule, but they're not doing it at the pole setter. So they have so it's integral to the Super Hooligans class. They have it split up between the liquid cooled bikes and the air cooled bikes.
And the electric bike somehow gets in
I don't
there.
know where they're putting I think they might be putting the electric bike in with the liquid cooled bikes.
Okay.
But yeah, they do have them in there now because now there's more companies that are making them. But yeah, so they're doing it. I don't know if they're doing it. I know last year they did it off of what the pullman was for the air cooled bikes, which would like last year was Rennie.
Okay.
Rennie Skates Brooks one was set for the air cooled bikes.
Okay.
And but I think this year, I think some, I would have to look at the rule books. Don't quote me on any of this, but that they're doing it off like the sixth place guy off the liquid cooled bikes is for everyone. So I don't know. It's they're trying to make it work because
Yeah.
obviously with the air cooled bikes, if they do 110% off the liquid cooled bikes, none of the air-cooled bikes are racing,
Right.
except for a select few.
Well, I'm wondering if it's that, and it looks like it's welcoming. Like the class is pretty flexible,
Oh yeah.
trying to get multiple upright bars bikes in there.
hmm Yeah, so
Um,
there's actually no clip-ons. You're not allowed to have clip-ons. You gotta have high-rise bars.
right,
No fairings, number plates only.
right.
Um, so they try to make it bare minimum so you can't do some crazy things to get small little.
Well, also, it doesn't seem like there's a commenter that said Mark Knutson said that he rode his Diavel at a track day. Like
hmm
it doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem like there's Diavels and like, the big monster KTM Super Duke things, and it's not like
No, so I don't.
I couldn't find a class in the hooligans to grid up with my two up sled, right?
Well, so I know it's for like the liquid cooled bikes. They have engine size, limitations.
Yeah.
As far as like the air cooled bikes, they do too, but it's fucking big. It's 131 cubic inches, which is like what's like 2,600, 2,700 cc's or something like that. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
But
I
as far as
remember it
the
was like what, 124 horsepower or something. That was the limit or something like that.
for what it was for stock or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, we have some like the super hooligan bikes for. I mean, the Indian FTRs, they're pushing 140, 150 horsepower on some of them.
But stock though, they're not.
The stock, well, no, not stock. The Pan America's stock are doing, close to 150.
No shit.
Yeah, they're factory 150 horsepower, or is what they claim, which is, more at the crank, not the wheel, obviously. But, doing a slip on and an intake and, a tune, not hard to get 150 horsepower of those bikes now.
Okay. And just by the way, Daniela says that because you said don't quote you, she's gonna quote you and hold you responsible. So
Of course she is. I love her. She's awesome.
she's hilarious.
hmm
Yeah,
Fucking smart ass.
she's definitely that. Yeah, Daniela fits that description for sure. It's like
hmm
she's looking for a fight almost.
Oh yeah, she's
It's
as
hilarious.
sarcastic as she can be to piss someone off and still not give a fuck. So,
Right, right. Yeah, it's good times. Good times. I saw her in Daytona earlier this year, man. It was super funny. And she was walking around with Track Day Junkie unleashed shit. I was like, oh my God, dude.
that page is crazy.
Dude, I've been
There's always something
added.
going on.
I think I've deleted myself from that page like 20 times. Like people added me to it so many times. I'm like, what? Nope. I'm not getting into that dumpster fire.
Hey, Danielle, if you're watching this, add him again.
She's watching.
Yeah, yeah,
And
add him
no,
again.
no. She knows better. She knows that I don't need to be getting in that. I get myself in enough trouble with this thing I'm talking into this mic with.
Mhm.
I get myself into
We don't need
plenty.
all this
Oh
going
yeah,
on.
dude, I don't need this to get in trouble. I've been on the receiving end of plenty of one-way conversations this year. Let's just say that, dude.
Oh, naughty boy.
Always. I mean, that part of kind of part of what makes me successful in this sport kind of thing is also the same thing that gets me into trouble.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I can live that. It's cool. It's cool. Um, oh, she wants me to interview her now. Like I would. I don't care.
yeah, yeah. Do it. That'd
She's
be
a
fun. That
racer
should be
too.
fun. She is, yeah.
So this. So you've traveled across country. You said Daytona, Pittsburgh. What else?
Yeah,
You've ridden Sonoma, Laguna, uh,
yeah.
Utah Motorsport Campus.
I love Utah.
Dude,
I love that track.
did you ride the perimeter or one of the half loops?
No, we've done just so if you're looking at it, I want to say it's the east side. So
Okay,
if you're looking at the track from the paddock, it's the left side.
okay,
So I want to say it's the east side, and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love it. It's awesome. It's an awesome
bro.
track.
If you've never ridden the perimeter, you haven't ridden UMC as far as I'm concerned,
I know. I know. Richard
bro.
Finley he's been trying to get me out there to go do it
Yeah,
with
dude,
those
it's
guys.
like you come out of wind up and release, and you get on the straightaway, and you've got like, well, maybe not on my bike, but on your bike. Hey, I gotta shit on you somehow, like this much. Um,
Yeah, no, it's all
no,
good.
but like seriously, the straightaway is like long enough to microwave a burrito and eat it.
Fuck yeah.
And maybe you got time
Oh
to do your taxes, dude. Like on your bike, you probably got time to do your taxes too.
yeah, well, it goes pretty fast. We got it pretty we're going pretty good at Daytona.
Yeah.
I mean, it got to the point where we just couldn't get over the drag coefficient with no fairing and nothing on it. So,
Yeah. Well, you tuck down and grab the fork tube like the dirt trackers
oh, I
guys
got
do,
I
right?
got every time I race with Moto America, I get yelled at because you're not allowed to do that with Moto America.
Oh, you're not. Oh
You're
shit.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, you're supposed to have both hands on the bars, and every time I reach up under the tank and just get as small as I possibly can, even with my fairing that I have on there. And every time it's black flag, get the fuck off the track. Hey, both hands.
Really?
Okay, and then we wait till the race, and then it's okay, back to doing normal.
What's weird is like I can remember the Sportster class. A lot of the guys would do that. You know.
Yeah, the XR series. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, the latest one, and then the one that was in the '90s, the
Okay.
883 Sportster class. That
Mm.
was a little history lesson if you didn't know about that.
All like 30 horsepower of
I don't
raw
know. I
squirrel
mean, dude,
fury.
that was like the Bostrom brothers were racing that shit. So if you know who they are,
I do, yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I was
Ben.
gonna,
Ben
I was
actually, I
gonna
think
say
he
you.
just.
If you didn't know who they were, you could Google them.
Yeah, let me just.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Ben, I think just retired again this year because he was riding for fueling, but he's not this year. So
Hmm. So I was gonna ask you this. So you've been to all these places. Like, what's your favorite track so far? Have you wait? Let me ask you this. Have you been to High Plains Raceway in Colorado yet?
I have not.
Bro, that's a good time. Um, so what's your favorite track that you've been on so far? It can't be the little half loop at Utah, is it?
No, no. I mean, it's up there.
I'm guessing Pittsburgh, right? Or Laguna.
Pittsburgh is awesome. I was having some technical difficulties with Pittsburgh. So I will be honest. Most of the tracks that I've raced at across the country so far, I've either have fucked myself with ride time on the track, or I've had some like. So we went race at Sonoma,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? Hey, you know what? I'm gonna go from carbureted and just convert my bike to fuel injected the week prior, and
Yeah.
then I'll just find a tuner, and I couldn't find a tuner
Let's
out
just
here.
make a massive change to the bike right before we go riding.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
always good.
so like a practice was like Friday, and I brought my bike Friday morning to the tuner, and they broke some shit on the bike, so we had to get parts. So I didn't get to ride until like practice and qualifying Saturday morning.
Oh wow.
So no track time, and then was race. And then Utah, we raced there twice, so I've gotten track time there. So that's awesome because I got comfortable on the track.
Yeah.
Um, Laguna, for some reason, I can't get the flow with Laguna yet.
Bro.
Well, the first year I was sick and my shocks were falling apart in the bike. So it was
Why
like all just
why
shit.
let me ask you something. Why were the shocks falling apart? Like
So
I've been
I
racing for I'm just going to say this, dude. I've been racing since the 90s, okay?
yeah.
Never once. And dude, I've ridden some clapped out shit, dude. I rode bikes that Andy Palmer built, okay? Like I rode some shit. I've never had a shock fall apart. So like what is
So really
going on
all
there?
it was that the castle nut for the spring came loose, so my springs loosened up all the way.
Oh wow.
So that was it. So they didn't were like falling apart; they just came undone.
Yeah.
Then the second time I ran at Laguna was right like in the height of, I have multiple bulging discs in my back. So I was like right in the height of like not. I had to have people pick me up and off the bike just for me
Oh
to be able to
shit.
ride.
Okay.
So super uncomfortable with that, but I was like, hey, fuck it, I'm still gonna go race this thing. We got on the podium, which was cool, being all broken and stuff. So it was pretty dope. Um, yeah, I got this last year at Pittsburgh, I got crashed into my first session out. I was pretty pissed about that.
It sounds like you're listing off a rap sheet of shit that happens when you go racing. Like that's
Yeah, dude, it
racing,
sucks.
dude. Like I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well, my thing is like,
and it's not just you guys. I mean, you if you watched Moto America the last round, right? Even the top team that's won the championship the
mhm.
last 3 years, they shit 3 engines like the first session of the weekend,
Oh yeah.
right?
Well, there's been a couple going. Let's go across the country and go and do only like 6 or 7 laps and have an engine blow up.
Oh man, that
It's
sucks.
happened. Daytona happened during the race at Daytona. I got 6 out of 8 laps in, and then she finally let go. But then again, it's Daytona, which is notorious for just eating motors. So
Even on our side too, right? Like, I
yeah.
mean, I think my first time to Daytona or second time to Daytona, my friend, I was hanging out with with Jeff Bostrom, who's Ben and Eric's
Mm,
cousin, and I think Jeff shit an engine like the very first session, and he was going there with no spares, having to like buy an engine, and have it overnighted to the track, Thursday night or whatever.
so that actually happened to me with Milwaukee. We built a brand new engine, and it was like, okay, we don't need to bring a spare because it's a brand new motor. We should be all right. So I put my spare motor back into my Dyna that I rode on the street every day,
Yeah.
and we got like 4 or 5 laps in, and then smoked the motor.
Oh wow.
No backup motor, no nothing. So it's like, well, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, that's racing, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that one weekend where I don't have to touch a wrench at all, except for the new tires and brake pads.
Yeah, dude. My goal when I go to the racetrack is to just ride the bike, and so I try to get somebody to work for me on the weekends to make it so I can kind of focus on
Mm.
what I need to focus on track. And sometimes that is, sometimes I'm better at accomplishing that than other times.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I had the big thing is the more I've gotten better with it, and program's gotten better, where I'm touching the bike less, I'm able to progress exponentially more on the track.
yeah,
Because all the
yeah.
energy is not going into, well, fix, 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 replace, fix, fix, fix,
Well,
as it
that
usually is.
I mean, I read an R1, bro. I usually don't have to fix, but
Yeah,
I hear you.
we're constantly fixing shit. So
Well, your bike is well, anyway, going before I go into that, like what of all the tracks
favorite
you've ridden
track.
so far, what's your favorite track that you've gotten to race on so far? I thought it might be a toss up between Pittsburgh and Laguna, but you know,
I love both of them. I want to go get more seat time at Laguna, and do that again for sure, and just get comfortable on the track,
yeah,
and then go and do Pittsburgh again without having a broken foot and a broken leg
yeah.
and rotors that are calipers that are locking up on you, which
Okay.
is what I dealt with in April at Pittsburgh, and it's
Wait, your
awesome because
calipers were locking up on you? Like
yeah.
what?
Well, we sent them back to the manufacturer to, hey, we need to do some testing and see why they were locking up,
Okay.
because it's actually happened a couple times, and they're a new caliper by it's a well-known caliper company, but it's pretty new. And as far as bikes racing with them, there's only 2 Harleys that I'm aware of, period, as far as, and even the sport bikes.
Oh, really?
And the other guy that has them, he's probably running like 20 to 30 seconds slower than I am.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. I mean, is it like a
Pittsburgh,
sponsor? Is it a sponsor thing? Why you're running those, or
yes and no. It's a sponsor thing. I didn't have to. I've been running the Tokigos for years and been just fine with those.
yeah, like the
Um,
what's Gixxer calipers or something?
yeah, the stock Gixxer calipers. But I
Okay.
mean, we're at the point now where needing to have more braking. So I always want to try something new.
Yeah.
So now it's
I mean, is it a sponsor thing, or is it like what caliper company is that? And like, could we
so
make a
they're
suggestion? Like,
so
because I'm just gonna lay it out for you, man. Like when you're club racing or racing in general, dude, I have this saying, and I've said it for years, right? You might have even heard me say this. Like cheap shit is still shit,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
So if
100%.
free shit is still shit. So, I mean, sometimes it's better to just, buy the good stuff,
Yeah. So obviously, I partner up with Galfer. Been with them for the past couple
Hi.
years. And then they partner up with Nissan to make
Okay.
some calipers. So they're
Okay.
Nissan calipers,
Okay.
and they're monoblock. So I was like, hey, these are should be a pretty good
Yeah, Nissan's
upgrade
a
from.
pretty reputable brand of
Yeah, I
caliper.
mean they got some some guys in MotoGP running them, and World Superbike running them. So I was like, you know what? They're new. I need some more braking, so I'll be a test mule. But not really a test mule because most test mules get parts for free. So I had to pay for the calipers.
Right.
Obviously at discount through Galfer,
Yeah.
but yeah. So now I'm going back and forth with Galfer, and then going back and forth with Nissan over in Japan to figure out why we're having these issues.
I mean, could it be the weight of the thing?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries, man. You're a dad. It happens. Um, so is that like is it just like the manufacturer's not accounting for the weight of the motorcycle that it's having to
Well, so
stop?
that's what we're doing. Well, so what I was told by one of the reps at Galfer when they were in the process of making these calipers was, hey, we're teaming up these guys to make the calipers specifically for Harleys, for the heavier bikes.
Okay.
So I was like, well, sweet. That would be awesome since we're running 500 plus pounds, and we'll test him out. So that dude's no longer with Galfer, or he's kind of is, off to the side or whatever. And then talking with the CEO of Galfer, with Alessandro, he's like, yeah, we never designed these for the heavier bikes.
Okay.
So now I'm in the process of doing all this stuff with Nissan, which through Galfer of where's the weights at, how much the bike weighs, where's the bias of the weight, where's the center of gravity, and all these things that they need to say, okay, how much braking pressure are we using?
Do
And
you
I'm running
have
smaller.
are you running a data logger with a brake pressure sensor on there so you could report
No,
back to them how many bar of pressure that you're so what do you
that
like I mean it doesn't sound super scientific right now, right?
no, it's not. It's and
Like you're using your
well,
butt dyno basically,
hey,
right?
I'm racing on a 32-year-old bike that has been Frankenstein together in my own garage, over the past 5 years. So as far and we're still on a very very tight budget.
Yeah.
So I still don't even have like a solo to like data logger to do track times on my bike yet, which I should have gotten fucking years ago. Um, but as far as like getting stuff like that, potentiometers and doing all that stuff to be able to see what's doing what,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't have that kind
I
of
mean, even a
funds
brake
yet.
pressure sensor would give you,
Mm-hmm.
on the data logger if you have one. You'd need a
Mm-hmm.
data logger to go with the sensor, right? But if you had a brake pressure sensor, you could report back to the manufacturer and be like, yeah, in this corner we're getting this much brake pressure. You know, I'm giving, let's just say 15 bar. I'm breaking 15 bar in the thing, and the caliper is bending. So
Yeah, so I mean, well, it's between that and I'm also running a little bit smaller rotors than even what you guys are running. I'm only
okay,
running that's a 310 millimeter rotor, so it's a 12.6-inch rotor,
yeah,
which is a little small for
yeah.
what we're doing. But it's been working. I mean, I've had the Tokigos on there, and I'm running, like 57s at Chuck now and stuff like that. So they're working on making the brakes work, but it was once we got into these calipers, we started having these issues. So it's kind
Well,
of
Chuck Walla, you don't really have to brake hard anywhere. So
no, actually, once I stopped using my brakes as much, I started going faster. Of just manning up and just throwing it into the fucking corner, I guess you could
yeah,
say.
you're sending
So,
it. You're sending
yeah,
it
pretty
more.
much.
Nice,
Well,
nice.
talking with actually, what really helped us out with that was actually talking with Cody Wyman
Okay.
because he's racing all the time, and between what he's doing with he has a test rider with Harley, and then with his brothers, he's always talking with us, and he's trying to get data and trying to help us go faster. He's like, hey, stop smashing on the fucking brakes, dude. Go lighter
Yeah,
and longer and carry
yeah,
your speed. And once we did that, it was like, okay, we're dropping, half seconds at a time now.
yeah. I mean, look, I had almost that same moment at Chuck Walla with Fuzzy, right? So
I love Fuzzy.
Fuzzy was helped me out with suspension, and we have that whole melting ice cream sandwich story. Um, that's how I described what my suspension was doing, and he looked at me like I was talking. I was like mentally challenged. He's like, and anyway, so he's like, hey, like the first weekend we worked together, he's like, hey, did you used to ride a 600? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, everything makes sense now. And so I guess he saw the way I was riding, and it looked like I was, revving out the lower gears for a long time,
Hmm.
jamming on the brakes super hard, and then trying to chase it in the middle with throttle. And he's like, hey, man, just let go of the fucking brake lever and let the thing roll. And I'm like, what? So I went out there and, obviously I did the lighter, longer thing, but I was able to, I was like using the brake lever like a safety blanket because, riding 1,000 is
Hmm.
scary. Um,
I,
and
I, I actually,
immediately went from 51s to 48s, just like, boom,
oh no
done.
shit.
Yeah.
So I've had Fuzzy straight tell me like, hey, stop being a pussy
Yeah,
and
I've had
stop
that
using your
conversation.
brakes. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. Stop using your brakes. Stop,
Yeah.
don't be a pussy and fucking send it into the turn. It's gonna go. So
By the way, Knutson saying, can we get this man at least an AIM data unit? Like, come on, AIM, hook a brother up with some data. So yeah,
that
like
would be
you know
fucking
what I mean?
awesome.
Maybe. I
I
mean,
agree with him.
yeah. I mean, isn't there? Maybe we'll ask around, see if we could score you some kind of data logger or something. Give you a brake pressure sensor or something.
It would be
Um,
awesome.
Yeah, you know what? After the show, I'll send a message to somebody. Like, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I know somebody at
Mhm.
AIM. Maybe we could hook a brother up. Because man, that like when you're trying to do R&D for something, it would be helpful to have scientific data that you could present them so they could see, what kind of pressure that you're putting on that
So,
stuff.
like 4 years ago, I know bringing it back to the OGs with Eric and Tony. Eric was working with AIM because they're right up here in Elsinore,
Yeah,
and obviously they didn't have anything that we can plug into the bike to say, okay, let's get data off of what your throttle position is and what this is doing and what that's doing, like you
yeah.
guys can with your guys' stuff. So there was works or there was talk of things happening of, hey, we're going to make something that can be plugged into the data port on a Harley,
Yeah.
so we could actually start getting data off the bike itself instead of like having just a zip tied
Well,
screen
I mean,
there.
look, the solo thing is pretty simple, but I'm pretty sure you can put a channel on there, and the brake pressure sensor is just a little sensor that plugs in
Hmm.
line with your brake line, right? Like that,
Oh yeah, it's
you
definitely
know.
something that would be awesome to do. Any kind of data acquisition would be awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. You need that, bro. Like if you're doing R&D, man. Like when I was doing, I used to do R&D stuff for Brake Tech, and they would send me different sets of pads and different rotors and things. And dude, I'd have to get the set of calipers out, measure before, and
mhm.
then keep track of how many laps we did, and measure after, and send the pads back. Like that kind of
Actually,
stuff.
I want to talk to you about some brake tech stuff after we're done with this guy.
Okay, Brake Tech stuff.
Yeah, let's
Your work. Yeah, I mean, we could talk
just
it now. I don't care. Like,
we'll
I.
wait till after. We'll
Oh,
wait
you
till
don't want
after.
to do it on the show, pussy.
No,
All
it's
right.
got to be
Okay.
somewhat political with some things sometimes, not
Okay.
piss people off.
I mean, look. Are you trying to get some help from Jeff or?
Well, still, I mean, at the moment, we're still working with Galfer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to see where that goes. That's not set in stone for this season, but Break Tech has approached us as a team
Yeah.
to say, hey, we might want to help see what we can do for
Dude,
you
I'll,
guys
I'll
type of
tell you
deal.
what,
So
man. Jeff Gares is really switched on with this stuff. He spent a lot of time doing a lot of R&D on those the rotors and stuff that he makes, and different friction materials and everything. So, you know,
I see what you do there. So now you got me actually talking about it
I
here
mean, look,
on the
see, because I know the guy. Like he's right there by you as well, right? He's like
air.
I think he's like Lake Elsinore
He's in,
too, right?
yeah, he's in Lake Elsinore.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, the brake tech stuff, and Jeff's this big time Ferodo guy, Ferodo brake pads. But yeah, I mean, dude, he's got those. I think they're called Axis rotors, and it's like the way the carrier is a little bit different. So the rotor sits on the carrier a little bit different, but they have ductile iron stuff. I don't. I mean, you guys can probably run the ductile iron stuff in hooligans, right? Or no?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you might look into that because that might help you. That ductile iron shit that Jeff's got. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not sponsored by him, but I know the guy, and I know the guy is like super switched on, you know. Or you might be able to do something with those Tokikos and put like the titanium pistons in there.
Well, the Tokyo's, I've never had issues with them locking up or overheating. We had issues with brake fade, but we switched to like the RBF 700, and that got rid of the brake fade. Well, along with that, and then going to like the carbon brake pads, that helped a lot. So there's a
I
lot of
got
stuff that we've been.
I have some commenters about the solo stuff, and they're like, "Where's Chloe at? Can we get him a Solo 2 DL at
I've talked with
least?"
I've talked every time I see Chloe at Chuck, I'm like, hey, you'll give her like a little nudge, like, hey, I need a like a lap timer or something.
Yeah, and then yeah, the Solo 2 has a CAN bus on there, so the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean you could plug into some shit and learn, you know, on your 1991 Dyna or whatever FX whatever.
FXR, not a
They're
Dyna
all the
Class
same, dude.
B.
They all look the
They're not.
same.
They look this. That's like me saying a Yamaha and a Suzuki look the same.
I don't know. Like all the Harleys look the same to
For
me.
me, they do. Yeah, all the sport bikes look the same, dude. So, I mean, it
You're
is
like,
what it
"Oh, the
is. I
blue
mean,
one."
yeah, the blue
Right?
one with the silver stuff on the backside. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I mean that stuff would be helpful to you, man. Um, have you taken any coaching? Have you gotten any one-on-one stuff? I mean, besides the shit that we used to do back in the day at Chuck.
No, it's pretty much all the same as that. Y'all, Cody will jump in behind me and he'll get behind me and then he'll jump in front of me and tell me for a bit. Just like during practice and stuff like that, he'll do that. And then I've asked some of the guys at Apex, as with Apex Assassins, and they'll
Yeah,
do it, occasionally stuff like that. And
but like
then
lug nuts and tie or what?
yeah, yeah, all those guys,
Okay.
when they come zooming past me, and
Flip. Do
and
they?
then
But do they do the fun stuff like I used to do to you guys, like drag me
no,
around you, flip you
no,
off, or wheelie
no,
right
like
next to your head, that kind of shit?
you got to the point where you were like, okay, wheeling next to us, waving. Okay, that's like fuck you. It's like nothing says you're slow like someone wave, doing a wheelie one-handed past you.
I
But you
I
got to the
don't
point where you were
recall.
like,
I don't recall doing that.
no, not at all. We don't do wheelies at track days. That's not fun. But you got to the point there for a bit where you started like rubbing with us because we were actually coming out and racing.
Yeah,
She's like, well, you got to be comfortable, dude.
yeah.
And no one does that with us because they're too afraid that we move around too much or something's gonna fall off the fucking bike or whatever
Here's the secret,
excuses all
bro.
these guys.
Here's the secret. I'm just dumber than they are. No, the thing is, like, I had been watching you guys. What you guys didn't realize, I was watching you guys. So I was okay knowing where you guys were going to
Mhm.
be because I'd already been watching you, you know?
Well, that's and we can tell like who actually cares and who's paying attention for guys that do come up and talk or will come and say, hey, this is what you're doing. This try
Yeah,
this to see if it helps. Kind of like what you did and some of the other guys do now
yeah,
is because they're actually paying attention, not just
right,
oh look at these fucking guys their business. They want to
right.
see us succeed. They want to see us progress as riders and get better and faster. So, and that
Yeah,
we love all those guys and what you did and all that stuff that helped us progress to actually become like racers and not just like a laughing stock of hey, these guys are out here track.
Well, the thing is, like, what motivated me to go after you guys and try to help push you through that window was that you guys kept coming back, and you guys had your little huddle going, and you guys,
Hmm.
I came up one time and you guys had a track map out. You guys were like trying to figure shit out, and so to me, it looked like you guys were taking it serious. So I was like, well, shit, let's try to steer these guys and get them going. So
Hmm. Oh, and that still happens. The track maps. If someone comes over in the paddock and they're asking questions, first thing is ask, where the fuck's your track map?
yeah,
Oh, I don't have one. Why don't you?
right.
Go get one, and then we're going to start doing some homework. And I got homework for you for tonight, and then going to tomorrow. And then I do the same thing for all the other guys. Like, hey, what do you do here? And
Yeah.
how did you figure this one out or overcome this issue? And
Right. Right.
why not? Why close yourself off
Yeah.
when you can, be open and learn, be better?
That's awesome, man. So, this is you are a club racer, so I love talking to club racers, because like I said, I'm an IT guy, there's Brandon Murphy is a firefighter, right? everybody
Hmm.
does different. Like, what do you do for a living? Because this sport clearly isn't like it's not golf. This ain't bowling. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't a
No.
bowling league. So
Yeah, you
what
you
is it
spend
that
1,000. Yeah.
what do you do
Uh,
for a living, man?
so I actually work on motorcycles. I work on Harleys. Um,
Now I know
so
why
that
your race bike's broken down.
yeah, I'm working on everyone else's shit more than my own. Um, but yeah, I work, work at a shop and work on Harleys all day. Everything from doing your basic maintenance stuff to doing full on, 6-figure builds.
Oh, really? So are you
Yeah.
working at like
So
a Harley dealer, or are you working at like an
no, I'm
independent
working at
shop, or
an independent shop, something that's tucked away, nice and quiet, that doesn't have. We're not a retail location, so like that. We're no bullshit. We build motorcycles.
okay? So you guys are building customer bikes.
Oh yeah, so you bring us your Harley and say, hey, I want here's my budget and I want this much power. Or I want to do this and this and this. Okay, cool. Let's build you a motorcycle.
and and paint and all that and all the chrome shit or
Full
whatever.
full motor work to full body work. We do fucking everything.
No
So
shit. Okay.
to fabricating and welding and yeah.
So is it like the modern day version of the choppers? You're doing that shit, or is it like what are they
We
baggers?
do more along, yeah, more along the lines of like the performance side of things, as far as like the baggers and the soft tails and stuff go. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still those guys that want to come and have it as low as possible to the ground and have a million speakers on their bike, and
You
that's
guys do
cool. I mean,
that?
it pays the bills, dude.
You're like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Wow.
it because I'm a performance guy. I like to go fast, I like to turn fast and brake fast. Adding another 400 pounds of speakers and amplifiers and 500 feet of wire is
Well,
the
you gotta
opposite of
have. I
that.
mean, did you hang out at Daytona at night?
Yeah, we camped at I mean, dude, we were drag racing at Daytona in the paddock at night.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So, man, I wish I would have taken you to that chicken wings place in the
oh, we
ghetto.
went out. Yeah, we went
In the
out into
ghetto.
town and all that stuff, dude. We
Yeah.
went out into the town and we seen. Yeah, we do that. Where it's the big stretch bags and fender and underglow and
Yeah. The
it's
giant
not.
like 30-inch front wheel.
Yes.
Is that the kind
Yeah.
of you're doing the 30-inch wheel at the
We,
shop?
we we do it. Yeah, we
Okay.
do it.
Like what?
That's
Like
not
who
my
makes it?
favorite thing.
Who makes a tire for that thing?
Fucking Shinko is like the biggest one that makes
Are you
tires for the big,
serious? They're
like
like, yeah, dude, that's a
the
sweet
shittiest
looking
company.
30-inch wheel, but hey, I'm gonna wrap that, you know, $2,500 front wheel in, or how much are those? I
No, you're
just
looking
threw
at
that.
three grand plus. I mean, the bigger you get, the more they cost.
So 30-inch
Just for the
front
front
wheel.
wheel.
Yeah, so I got a 30-inch, $3,000 front wheel, and I'm gonna wrap it in a $75 Shinko.
Yes, dude. Yes, and yeah, and that's exactly
Man,
how it is. And it's like I'm gonna put Shinkos on my bike. I'm gonna put 50 strips of underglow on my bike and have $5,000 worth of stereo, but I'm gonna run $100 front tire.
yeah, yeah,
And that's what
that's.
a lot of these guys do. It's like, dude, you can't do that. It's
I mean,
crazy.
I have seen some of the bikes that have that wheel, and the bikes I saw in Daytona were pretty fucking nuts.
Hmm.
Not my style, but I get it. I'm like, you know what? It's all right. Like it's cool, but like it's not my thing, you know.
No, it's not my thing. I mean, we build some that make. I like power, and we do build some that make a lot of power. Whether it's a turbo or a pro charger or it's a straight naturally aspirated
A
bagger that
pro
makes even more.
charger.
Oh yeah.
That's shit that I hear about like in, street outlaw stuff, like in cars. What like tell me how a pro charger, what the hell is what is that?
So
It's
it's a
like a
supercharger.
supercharger? Okay.
It's a belt-driven supercharger, but it's not like a root style supercharger that you have like
Okay.
it's sitting on top of your motor, which twin screws. These, like you look at it and it has like a compressor housing, kind of like a turbo does.
Okay.
But
Okay.
instead of having a hot side for the exhaust to spin the turbine, you're using a belt drive.
Okay.
Whether it's off your crank off your car or for the Harleys, we have to do a whole new primary case that does this whole crazy transformation of that whole side of the bike to make that a belt drive
So
system.
you're building burnout machines, basically, right?
Yeah, burnout machines. We've been building a couple of the race bikes that race with us,
Okay.
as far as like the baggers and softails and stuff like that. And then we do a lot of the performance baggers. Jack them up, put some Oleans or or GP suspension on them.
Yeah.
Some
I know GP did a lot of work with the Harley bagger Indian type stuff, right?
Yep, yeah, they still do. They still do.
That's cool. And here's one thing I've noticed. Just walking around the paddock at Daytona and whatever, I've noticed a lot of those guys are running the same wheels that I have on my R1, like the Cormoto clear
So
anodized ones.
I want a set of them, dude. I
Yeah,
want a set of those core. They're badass wheels, dude. They're awesome.
yeah.
Because I'm still running like stock Gixxer wheels on my bike.
Oh, okay. I was
So
wondering.
like, so a lot of the Harley guys, they go out and they'll get like some of the aftermarket wheels that are made by the same companies that make your big wheel, for the big wheel baggers.
Yeah,
So you got like Jet Affiliate and SMT and all these guys that are making the 17s now. And same with Lindell, they make 17s. But for me personally, I like the weight saving side of things.
yeah.
So as far as like a cheap thing, and like I said, my bike's a budget build bike. Even now it's I got that set of Gixxer wheels with carrier and rotors and everything for like 120 bucks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Yeah, you're looking at like what 2,500 for a set of Cormoto wheels, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to put $2,500 wheels on the $500.
No, I mean I got enough
I'm
money
not
in the bike
shitting on you. I'm
now.
just like overestimate. But
What's that?
yeah, a little distraction again. Sorry.
No, I do want some nice wheels, but I don't want to sacrifice. Okay, I want to go get a $3,000 set of wheels and then gain 15, 20 pounds of unsprung mass on the bike.
Right. Right.
So that's why I keep running the stock Trixie wheels. Is they're still magnesium and they're still super light wheels. They're still nice.
I'm getting some comments. This is really fun. Um, this is Knutson. He's like a regular viewer of the show, but he's like, I love those effing Shinkos. And then he says,
Oh, of course
said
they
no
do.
one ever.
Well, you get those guys that are like, oh yeah, but they're cheap. I can get them on a budget. It's like, yeah, but you're spending more money per rotation of tire. Like,
Well,
you have to buy two sets of Shinkos for one set of fucking tires.
well, that
And
goes into what I said before, right? What did I say about cheap shit?
it's still shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So,
still shit. And that the Shinkos, yeah, I hate to shit on people, but Shinko, when we first started the racing thing, Shinko approached me like, hey, we want to sponsor you for tires, for their slicks. And they were honest with
wait, wait,
me.
wait, wait. Shinko makes slicks?
So they were honest with me. They were straight up. They were honest. Like, hey, they don't have a really good profile. They're pretty flat, and they get really greasy when they get up to temperature.
That sounds
So
super
okay,
confidence inspiring.
so it's like okay, the two things I
Like,
don't want
hey,
in a
just a heads
tire,
up, our tires are pretty shit, but hey, you want some?
but they're free
Like,
though.
here,
But
this
they're
stinks.
free.
Smell it.
Yeah, yeah, no. So it's like, yeah, yeah, I can't be running around on a tire that has a flat profile and turns into grease when I'm trying to ride on the fucking thing. Like, I
Right.
appreciate the offer. I thank you guys for it, but change up your program a little bit and then we can talk later, maybe.
I mean, about, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe, there was the colored tires. You remember those?
Oh,
The
everyone was doing those, especially the Harleys, because
the
everyone ran them for
tomahawk
like
the tomahawk tires. They were like retreads.
well, Shinko did that for a while too. They called it the
Oh,
Shinko
really?
tire bombs or whatever it was. And the Harley guys soaked it up because everyone was doing the wheelies, and the tire to go to was the Shinkos because they're super sticky and they squish, so you get a nice fat, footprint.
Yeah.
And since everyone started running those to do wheelies on them, like, oh, well, we'll start making smoke bombs wherever we're. And they did. They're orange and blue and these different fucking colors. And it's, $120 for a fucking rear tire, and it makes cool colors when you do a burnout on it.
Well, that's
So
what you're
dope.
looking for when you go racing,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. Smoke screens for everyone.
So this shop that you're working at and you're building these bikes and performance stuff and show stuff, basically, right?
We
Um,
do a lot. We do some show stuff too. It's we
so
do yeah.
Knutsen's asking, like, what's the estimated cost with the bagger build for a race bike?
For a race bike, it depends on how deep you want to go into it, because
That's like
there's
that's
different.
our side too, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, for us,
Yeah.
we can still stick with like the conventional front fork style with like what the Harleys are, and but we can go taller and we can do cartridges the same thing with what we would put in an inverted front end.
Okay.
Obviously, we have a little bit less overlap than you would in an inverted front end, and it depends on okay, what swing arm do you want to do? Are you doing a what aluminum subframe, or are you going to stick with the stock subframe on the bike?
Okay.
And then are we doing carbon fiber? What wheels are we doing? What exhaust are we doing? What are we doing for motor? There's a big one because obviously with all the with everything, same with you guys, evolves around the budget.
Right.
So if you want a race bike for a bagger, first we're going to start off with what can you afford? Because I'm not going to go through this and say, well, this is what's going to cost, and you say, well, I don't have $80,000. I only have five, because then it's just a waste of time. So
Yeah.
what's your budget, and what are you trying to do with the bike? Are you trying to drag race it? Are we doing shows? Are you going to go out carve the twisties, or are you going to go out and try to race, the Bagger Racing League and King of the Baggers?
Okay.
So,
So does it work like this? The dude just shows up rando and you do the walkthrough with them, or do they come
well,
in with a
you
plan already, or how's it
so
go?
like I said, we're a pretty private shop, independent shop. We're not a retail location, so you can't just like Google our address and just show up to the shop. Everything's by
Okay.
appointment only. So everything's by a phone call. Hey, I heard from you from so and so, or I found you online. I want you to work on my bike. Okay, cool. What do you want to do? Well, I want to do this. Okay, you want said stuff done. Okay, well, why do you want to do it, and what's your purpose of doing it? Because
Yeah.
we'll talk a lot of guys out of doing it because well, my buddy said I had to do this and this and this and this, and it turns out to be 15, $20,000,
And their
and
buddy's
we'll
an
talk to
idiot.
them. Yeah, and we'll talk to them and say, hey, dude, you only need to go spend like $3,000 or $4,000 instead of $15,000,
Okay.
and get the same thing out of it, for what they did. So, what's your budget, and what are you trying to do with the motorcycle?
So
Especially with the race side of things.
so you guys are building some race stuff. Are you guys using any of that like Screaming Eagle stuff that Wyman's developing?
So,
Like that
with
stuff's
this,
available for sale supposedly, right?
it is. So you have to be a race team. You have to be a licensed racer
Yeah.
to do so. And Harley still has the ability to say no.
Oh, really?
They don't have to sell you anything.
Okay.
Um, it's available. It has to be available by what Motor America rules are, but they can still tell you no.
Wow.
But to do all that, to go with the Screaming Eagle stuff I mean, if you want to build an $80,000 bagger on top of you buying the $40,000 bagger,
Have at it,
the
bro.
Screaming Eagle stuff for the bolt-on stuff will get you there real quick
Really?
because their shit's very expensive. Yeah, it's cool and it's awesome. And obviously, it works because they're out there doing some amazing
Ruining
things with
people?
these. Yeah, they're doing some awesome things with these fucking race bikes, but they're expensive. It
Yeah.
is fucking expensive.
Is it? I mean, it's got to be expensive because I mean, a lot of that stuff is CNC machined parts, and there's not very many of them, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like on our side of the things where there's like 8 million dudes with R1s, right? It's like
Hmm.
there's like 10 of you. So like,
Yeah. Well, as far as like the aftermarket side goes, yeah, there's a couple companies that make some pretty awesome swing arms. You got LA Art, which is what I run on the race bike, and you get guys that buy those swing arms and stuff like that just for their street bikes, for
oh
their
really?
baggers. Yeah, because they want to jack it up, get taller, or make it look better, or just lose 30 pounds in a swing arm.
Yeah.
Because a stock swing arm weighs like 45 pounds on a bagger.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
So I mean, there's a lot of the aftermarket companies, but with what Harley is doing, I mean, they got so much R&D in these things to allow a certain amount of flex for certain tracks, kind of like what like the high-end sport bike teams are doing with we're going to swap the swing arm out for this track because it's got less or more flex in it.
Right.
They
Yeah, I
can
mean,
afford to do something like that.
I mean, the team I'm working with, I have for years, Attack.
Yeah.
They like make their own,
Hmm.
and it's a trip. And there's been multiple generations of the swing arm that he's made. But most of the guys that aren't making their own, which is everyone, are pretty much
Yeah.
running the suitor stuff on our side, the sport bike side.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
a toss up between a couple of the companies. I mean, the Harley one's so expensive. I mean, so
okay.
to lay it out, so Harley makes
It
two
sure
versions
does
of.
look cool. Like, I mean,
It
Wyman's
looks
swing
it
arm
looks
looks
awesome.
legit, dude.
If I could afford one, I would hang one up on my wall just because it looks so damn good.
Yeah.
So Harley's got two different variations of that swing arm. They have the one-piece billet swing arm, which is like a $30,000 swing arm,
Right.
and then they have their three-piece swing arm, which bolts together and then gets welded together, and that one's fucking $8,500.
No shit.
Yes, and that's their cheap one. Now you
The
could take
cheap
that
one's $8,500.
$8,500, and
Wow.
if you go for like get the Alley Art one, which is what I run, what my teammate runs, a bunch of the other guys run, or some of these other companies, you're looking at like 25 to 3 grand for an aluminum swing arm.
Right.
So
Budget.
I mean, you can go. There's some other aftermarket ones that you can go budget, and they're truly budget. It's not
Well,
something I would run on my
cheap
bike,
shit
but
is still shit, right? So,
precisely.
yeah.
So, yeah, the
So
Scream Eagle shit is extremely expensive.
there's a couple more comments coming in. D-Rock says it's the purpose is to be cool. Yeah. So, and then Knutson comes back and he says he feels like Indian and HD are investing about the same as the superbike development. I think they're
Well,
investing more actually.
I don't know what the superbike development is as far as like what Attack or some of the factory teams does.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a pretty good idea what Harley spent last year uh, on the race development and what they had for a budget. I know this year they went higher.
So like
Um,
ballpark, spit it.
so when we raced Laguna Seca last year, they were at like $5.5 million,
No shit.
and they more than doubled it for the last half of the season.
Fuck off, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Man,
So they're dumping money.
dude,
They're
like,
dumping some fucking money.
dude, if Richard had 5 million bucks a year, I can only imagine what he'd be able to do.
Yeah, but it's Harley Davidson, so I mean,
Yeah,
it's not a fucking brand, bro. It's a lifestyle. So
right,
they got so much. I mean, you go to a Harley dealership and you spend $50 on a fucking T-shirt,
right.
you know, $60 on a fucking sticker. They can afford to, say, hey, we have so much money. Let's go throw a couple $1 million into doing whatever.
That sounds like a good time, bro.
I'm all about it, dude.
Yeah,
But
dude.
which actually it kind of pissed us off, dude, because when we were doing this Harley racing thing, we couldn't get them to like, tag, repost. We couldn't get them to do shit with us.
Yeah.
And then that first year, the King of the Baggers, they still didn't want nothing to do with it. And then obviously Tyler O'Hara and Indian came out swinging and crushed everyone.
And
So
that
now
was it.
Harley's like, well, now we have to.
Right, right.
So I'm not sponsored by Harley. We don't get any assistance by Harley, so whatever. So,
Wow. Okay. Roll up those sleeves.
well, dude, someone to be honest with you, somebody asked me in Pittsburgh because I was like, well, when do you want to start racing a bagger? Dude, I'm a single dad, and I'm working full time, retired, and I'm still trying to race. He's like, someone wants to give me a bagger or pay for me to build a bagger.
Right.
Well, someone's like, well, would you race an Indian? You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Probably. You want
Yeah.
me, if someone's going to say, hey, we got a full ride for you, it would be dumb for me to say no, regardless of who it is.
Right.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'd race an Indian.
That's that racer life. Um, I mean, it's looking more and more fun. And originally, dude, when the first baggers came out to Laguna, I was like, nah, I'm good. right?
It's
But
fun. It's awesome.
now it looks more and more interesting, you know. And
Well, we've had
they're getting better at like staying together too.
yeah.
So
Well, we're building up. Well, the bikes that we had out there when you were still with us and all that stuff. Like I said, mine was garage built, and it was built on an extreme budget. Everything was like takeoff parts. What can I get for free? What was a blemish that a company was willing to give me? We were using takeoff tires from the tire pile, which may or may not still happen here and there. Um, so with it, yeah, there's been more money put into it now
yeah,
to help keep them together,
yeah.
and so
So with your own racing program, like what's your best moment? Like you're racing and was it a battle? Was it like a massive scrap? You beat your buddy? Like what was it?
I will say this. So most of the highlights that I've had as far as racing goes have actually been right alongside Tony, with
Really?
battling Tony. Oh yeah,
You're
because he's not
are you
afraid to.
beating him?
Yes.
You're beating Tony. Okay.
Well,
Cool.
this he
Just to be
hasn't been out
clear.
this season. Tony, love you, Tony. I know you're watching this, but he's beaten me a lot too. I mean, dude, we've been a lot of back and forth, and I will say like the best battle we had that was like awesome because my kids were there and everyone was there, and it was actually the last summer at Utah.
Okay.
And we went at it pretty hard, um, up until like the last lap, and then I got around him and I just tried to check out as fast as I could, and ended up winning that one.
Wow.
And then, to be honest, fucking half the times that we raced at Chuck Wall against each other,
Yeah.
I'm just going out there and banging bars and just getting at it. Um, so yeah, that was awesome. And then yeah, so Utah. And I want to say this April at Pittsburgh was pretty awesome
Yeah.
because we went 2 for 2 for the number one spot with all the issues we were having, and then first time racing in the rain. So that was
What'd you
actually
think of
pretty
racing in
awesome.
the rain?
Dude, to be honest with you, with the weight and rain tires and stuff like that, it wasn't very much different than racing in the dry. Just got to be a little more gentler with your inputs.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
take
once
it just do all your movements more deliberately and earlier, right?
So we actually had no practice. It was straight like, hey, we are awesome. Practice and qualifying was sunny, and then the rain came in. Okay, scramble to
Figure
get
it
find
out.
some scramble to find rain tires, and it
Okay.
literally went. I was okay. We're going to race, and the warm up lap was like, let's see how these things feel. And literally, as soon as the green flag dropped, we got halfway through the first lap, and it's like, hey, these things fucking stick, and they stick really fucking good.
So
It was
are you
actually
running Pirellis or Dunlops or what are you doing?
Pirellis. I've been
Oh,
running Pirellis for a while.
good man.
Oh, I fucking love them. And
Dude,
Chris and
just a
Corey
heads
over
up,
at CT.
I am supported by Pirelli both on the track day side, but also on the bicycle side.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, all of
Yeah,
my
no,
two-wheeled adventures are covered by Pirelli.
no, Chris,
Shameless
Corey,
plug.
yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, and them at CT Racing, and then Gigi over at 61. They've always been really good with us. Been really good with me, and they've helped us out a lot. So I love those guys. So
Right on. Right on. Okay, so Daniela, she's got a comment here for you. What's been your least favorite situation you've encountered since you started hooligans racing?
least favorite since hooligan racing.
Your least favorite situation hooligans racing? It kind
Uh,
of made me think that you all had like some kind of inside story or something.
well, I don't think so. I've only done a couple. I haven't done like a full season of the hooligan stuff. It's been like like I said, where we can afford it. Um, I mean, besides the Daytona and the motor blowing up,
Yeah.
and then well, so I brought a spare for that one.
Okay.
So for Saturday the motor blew up. Saturday night we spent all night swapping the motor out, doing some adjustments with tuning everything, and then Sunday they canceled our race so they can allow fucking dudes on their dressers with their speakers and shit go ride the track.
Oh yeah. The fan laps.
Yeah, and that really fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that as
So
far as like the super hooligan goes, I mean, I met. I don't know if it would say it was a bad thing, but I met. I forgot what the dude's name was. He's one of the guys in charge at Moto America. He's got full tattooed sleeves. He's a bigger guy. Um,
no idea, dude.
operations manager.
For Moto America?
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
forgot what
I
the
don't.
fuck his name was. But I kind of yelled at him the first time I went to Moto America, not knowing who he was. Um, that was pretty cool. He was cool about it though. He understood. So
All right. And then Davy Stone's saying that they let you run different tires than Dunlop at the Moto America rounds.
not no more. Not no more. The first one they did, and that was because it was like the test pilot. There was no really fuck. There was shit all for rules as far as what the
They're
Super
like, yeah,
Hooligan
dude,
was.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, so it was like, hey, okay, here's your engine size limits. Here's you have to run a number plate, and you have to have high bars. Other than that, it was pretty open.
Yeah, I kind of remember the cowboy. It was like kind of the cowboy way back then, right?
It was. Now
Yeah.
it is a spec class. Now you have to have Dunlops and the ones that that they say are within the class rules. You have to run spec T4 fuel for what Moto America runs for everything else.
Oh, so you have to run that. I know in the superbikes they run that MGP stuff, VP fuel MGP. You're running something different.
Yeah, T4.
T4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what they put out for what it was T4.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what we just went for everything. So that's what we run for all the race series now.
Let me ask you this: have you guys run into any troubles with that fuel?
No, actually, so we've ran as with it being air cooled, obviously we have a lot of problems with heat.
Okay.
And we've had a couple bikes that were forward of 13 and a half to 1 compression ratios and have had zero and thrown a bunch of timing at them and stuff like that and had zero issues with it. So a lot of people they kind of snark at the T4 because it's only 97 octane, but that's all they look at when people look at fuel is, well, what's the octane rating? There's a lot of other things and you look at fuel when you're going into tuning and all this other stuff that
Right.
a lot of people don't realize. So we've actually have had pretty good success with the T4 over like the 101 and some of the other stuff that have been out there.
Cool. Cool. Well, you know what, Lucas? We're about an hour and 12 minutes already, bro.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah, dude, you're living the dream, brother. I want to see you on the track again. I keep getting invites from the Chuckwalla people to come back to race with them.
I would
So,
love to see you out there. But I know there's a lot of stuff that is in
dude,
there.
I could
So,
come back. Apparently, I was told I'm not going to host any track days there or anything, but at
hmm
least in the immediate future. But like, I've been kind of invited back by Cowboy. Cowboy's like, "Hey, dog,
good.
when are you gonna? How long am I gonna have to keep this number 37?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Apparently, they've been saving my number since I left.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
Well, I would love to see you out there and hang out and whatnot. Cowboy's been,
yeah.
dude. He's been good. He's a good
You
dude. I
know,
like Cowboy. He's
I
solid.
think yeah, Cowboy's a great dude. I think having him kind of run things is making the club improve.
Well, it's not so lackadaisical anymore. I mean, he's a Marine, and
Of
that's kind
course.
of where we kind of like click as well with that because it's kind of like, hey, you
Yeah.
know, we'll do it. But he's actually holding people's standards. He's actually making sure what needs to get done is getting done. So the structure is definitely there now as far as the CVMA side of the things go.
Yeah.
So he's doing good things with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when I was still there, Amy Grana was kind of running most of it.
hmm
And man, it was like she'd never looked at it from the last round and she would show up on Thursday and set herself on fire for 3 days. And
Yeah.
and a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
a lot of things got missed and, you know, I mean, it was just a fucking nightmare. So Cowboy is like really switched on with organization stuff. I think he was like a logistics dude in the Marine Corps, so it just
hmm
transfers right over to this. And I hear good things, so I may
No,
come
he's
out
doing
there.
good.
And Lugnut says I need to come out there and get my cheeks clapped. So there you go.
Hey, dude, he's hauling ass and he's doing really
Yeah,
good. So
yeah. So, and then Davey Stone says he read through the rules real quickly, and he didn't see anything in reference to qualifying. Do you have to
okay.
qualify, and what's the cutoff? And that's for the hooligans, I think. But I think you were saying that you weren't even sure because it was like the
Yeah, I know
sixth
at the
place
beginning.
dude, air cooled something.
I know at the beginning of the season, last season they did, and even for the King of the Baggers, they've been moving stuff around as far as the qualifying time goes. Like they've been, hey, we're going to do 110%, and then they lose half the fucking grid, so there's only 5 bikes racing. And then it's okay,
Yeah,
well, we're going to go to 115%, and then hey, we're not doing anything as far as qualifying, disqualifications go. So they've been pretty flexible with it. So like I said, don't quote me on what it was. So
yeah. Well, now we're gonna quote you, so it's great. So the sixth place guy, right? I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Right on.
TM.
All right, dude. Well, you know what, man? It's been a good show. I appreciate you jumping on with me and shooting the shit. It's great.
No, I was definitely looking forward to it, and it was
And when's your
definitely a
next
pleasure to
race?
talk.
Before I go, when's your next race?
So we race actually in Illinois at Black Hawk Farms, like July 16th that weekend.
Okay, okay. And then, do you have any like sponsors or anything you want to thank or talk about before we wrap this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
Here, let me pull out
Uh,
my list.
I probably should because my memory is shit and I forget like half of them half the time.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it wasn't for like Warrior Built Foundation and what they do for me and all the combat vets and stuff on, I still wouldn't be racing right now.
Wow.
I would have had to have stopped a couple years ago, and they've been pretty much a mainstay in like, hey, we're going to keep you going and help you out where we can. Um, and then we have my stuff like that. Josh Relnit with RPM Moto, who's also like our team man with Relnit Racing. He does a lot with prepping the bikes and with transportation and helping find sponsors and whatnot. So and he also helps with the wrenching side of things at the track. So definitely
That's
helps
awesome.
me with having to bounce around all over the place. And then got Alloy Art and all the stuff they do with us, and Fab 28, and Galfer and all those guys. So I mean, there's Saddleman's been helping out a lot over the years. So there's a bunch of companies that have been some that have jumped on at the very beginning when we first started, and they're still here, still helping out and still assisting, with what we need and whatnot. So like huge props to those guys because they didn't have to jump on when it was just the three of us, and they still don't have to jump, be with us now. They still do, and they still help support. So it's been a huge help. Still continuing doing what we're doing.
That's cool, man. Well, you know what, man? If I go out to Chuckwalla at some point, maybe I'll see you out there. All right.
All
Good
right,
times,
dude.
dude. Good chat.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
again. All right, bud.
All right, take
Next
it easy.
time.